Ozzy Osbourne found a forgotten roadie after 40 years. But nobody expected this. What if the man who kept Ozzy Osbourne alive on tour suddenly disappeared for 40 years, and then returned with a truth that shattered Ozzy on the spot? The night was quiet over Los Angeles. Unusually quiet, the kind of silence that makes your ears ring because you're so used to chaos. Inside a dim private studio, lit only by blue LED strips and a single amber lamp, Ozzy Osbourne sat alone with a cup of tea. His long hair fell past his shoulders like soft, silver curtains. His famous round glasses reflected the dusty vinyls mounted on the wall, trophies from a life most people could only dream of. But tonight, Ozzy wasn't thinking about stardom. He wasn't thinking about fame. He wasn't thinking about the millions of fans who worshipped him. Tonight, Ozzy was thinking about a ghost of a man he hadn't spoken to or seen in 40 long years, a man named Riley Kane. Back in the 80s, Riley had been Ozzy's most trusted roadie, the guy who tuned the guitars, fixed busted amps at lightning speed, stitched jackets second before the concert, and sometimes even held Ozzy upright when he staggered from backstage to crowd. Riley was a man who made the impossible happen, night after night, but one day, in the middle of their biggest world tour, he vanished. No goodbye, no note, no explanation, just gone. For decades, conspiracy theories filled the silence. He stole money. He overdosed. He ran away with a groupie. He got kidnapped. Ozzy never believed any of them, because Riley wasn't just a roadie. He wasn't even just a friend. Riley Kane was the one man who knew Ozzy better than Ozzy knew himself, and the guilt of losing him had chewed on Ozzy's soul for nearly half a lifetime. Tonight was different, though, because earlier that morning, Sharon had placed an envelope in Ozzy's trembling hands, a simple white envelope. Inside it was a letter. The handwriting was shaky, faded but unmistakable. Ozzy, I'm alive, and I need to see you before it's too late. Riley, as Ozzy stared at that letter, his chest tightened, his breath caught, his heart raced. Too late? What did that mean? Why now after 40 years? He didn't know. But Ozzy Osbourne was not the type to ignore a cry from the past. He grabbed his coat, pulled up his hood, and slipped quietly out of the studio at NO security. No entourage. No cameras. Just Ozzy and the truth waiting somewhere in the city. The meeting placed a letter told Ozzy to meet him at a small, forgotten place, an abandoned diner on the outskirts of L.A. A place they once visited after every show, eating greasy pancakes at 3 a.m. while laughing about the madness of the world. Blue Raven Diner. Ozzy's car rolled slowly into the cracked parking lot. The neon sign was half dead, flickering like a dying heartbeat. He stepped out, breath forming in the cold night air. His boots echoed across the asphalt as he walked toward the entrance. The door creaked open. Inside, the diner was dark except for one corner booth. A flickering lamp illuminated a man sitting alone that Ozzy's heart stopped. The figure was thin. His hair was white. His shoulders hunched. His hands trembled on the tabletop. But those eyes, those tired, weary eyes, Ozzy knew them instantly. Riley? The man looked up slowly, the soft smile tugged at the corner of his lips. Hey? Boss. Ozzy froze. He hadn't heard that word in 40 years. Bloody hell. Ozzy whispered as he stepped closer. It is you. He slid into the booth across from him, staring in disbelief. Riley looked older, much older than he should have been, like the world had drained him of decades in a single night. And then before Ozzy could say another word, Riley's eyes welled up. I'm sorry, Ozzy. Those 3 words hit like a punch to the chest. Ozzy leaned forward, voice cracking. For what, mate? For disappearing? For leaving me? For the rumors? For leaving the crew in shock? No, Riley said softly. I'm sorry because I never told you the truth. Ozzy's breath hitched. Riley swallowed hard. His voice barely reached above a whisper. Ozzy, I didn't leave the tour. I was taken. The room seemed to tilt. Ozzy blinked, confused. Taken? What the hell do you mean, taken? But before he could finish, Riley slowly rolled up the sleeve of his left arm. Ozzy's eyes widened. A deep scar ran from elbow to wrist, like a blade had carved into him long ago. And underneath the skin, a faint metallic glint. Something implanted. Ozzy felt the blood drain from his face. What did they do to you? Riley, he whispered. Riley took a shaky breath, and then he spoke 7 words that would change everything. Ozzy, they wanted you, not me. And suddenly the diner felt colder, the air heavier, the past more dangerous than ever. The diner lights flickered like ghosts tapping the bulbs from inside. Ozzy leaned back slowly, his breath shaky, his mind spinning. They wanted you, not me. Those words repeated in his mind like a broken record. Riley's voice trembled as he continued. They grabbed me outside the Tokyo Dome show. Remember that night? The crowd was insane, reporters everywhere, and you almost fainted after the encore. Ozzy nodded slowly. He remembered it vividly. It was one of the wildest nights of their career. He thought Riley had gone missing after the show. Everyone thought Riley vanished by choice. Riley exhaled shakily. I was walking to the hotel service exit. Before I even unlocked the door, he paused, hands shaking violently. Someone put a cloth over my mouth. I woke up in a concrete room with no windows. Ozzy's heart thundered. What the hell? Who were they? He whispered. Riley's eyes lowered. They never told me their names, but they knew everything. He swallowed. They knew our tour schedules, your medical files, your mental health records, what drugs you were using, how much money you were making, every private detail of your life. Ozzy froze. Why would anyone want that? Riley looked up, and in his eyes was a fear that made Ozzy's spine chill. They wanted control. Over you, over your music, over your image, over your future. They were some kind of organization. Hidden, rich, dangerous as hell. Ozzy's hand trembled around his teacup. Why kidnap a bloody roadie? Ozzy muttered. Because, Riley said softly, I refuse to cooperate. Ozzy leaned forward. Cooperate with what? Riley rolled up his sleeve again, showing the scar, the metallic glint beneath. They wanted to implant something in me. Something I couldn't let them attach to you. Ozzy's face turned pale. What is it? It's a tracking device. A recorder. A way to monitor you through me. They wanted someone close to you who wouldn't be questioned. Ozzy slammed his fist on the table. Why didn't they take me then? Riley flinched at the sudden outburst. Ozzy immediately softened, guilt washing over him. I didn't mean to shout, mate. It's just this is insane. Riley nodded with a sad, tired smile. They didn't take you because the world needed you on stage. Your name, your concerts, your fame. You were worth more as a free man who didn't know he was being watched. Ozzy stared, stunned. And you saved me, Ozzy whispered. You sacrificed your life for me. Riley looked away, eyes glassy with tears. It wasn't a sacrifice, Ozzy. You gave me a job when I had nothing. You treated me like family when I didn't believe I deserved one. Saving you was the easiest decision I ever made. Ozzy's throat tightened. He reached out and grabbed Riley's trembling hands. You were family. You are family. Damn it, Riley. But then Riley pulled his hands back. Ozzy, there's more. Ozzy braced himself. I escaped, Riley whispered. But I didn't escape unharmed. And I didn't escape alone. Ozzy lifted an eyebrow. Alone? What do you mean alone? Riley inhaled deeply. The night I fled, I wasn't the only one they were holding in secret. He leaned closer. They had others. Crew members, managers, musicians, people who knew too much. Ozzy's eyes widened. Who? Who else was with you? Riley shook his head. I don't know all their names. They kept us isolated. But one man, I'll never forget. He paused. A shadow crossed his face. He said he once worked with Black Sabbath. Ozzy's jaw dropped. What? Who? Riley shook his head again. He wouldn't tell. But he knew you. He knew stories only someone from the early days would know. Ozzy's heart throbbed painfully. A storm of emotions twisted inside him. Fear, guilt, disbelief, sorrow. What happened to him? He whispered. Riley swallowed hard. He didn't make it out, Ozzy. Silence. Heavy. Unbearable. Ozzy closed his eyes, feeling the weight of all the years crushing him. Riley continued softly. That's why I contacted you now. I'm not running anymore. And I'm not hiding. I'm done being scared. Ozzy looked up, tears pooling behind his round glasses. Then what do you want from me, mate? Tell me. Anything. I'll do it. Riley hesitated. Then he reached inside his jacket and pulled out a small, rusted metal key. He set it on the table. It clinked softly, yet echoed through the entire diner like thunder. Ozzy stared at it. What's this? Riley said only 2 words. Your pass. Ozzy's heart stopped, and for the first time in 40 years, he realized the disappearance of his roadie wasn't a mystery. He was. The rusted metal key lay between them like a heartbeat from the past, small, silent, and heavy with secrets. Ozzy stared at it without blinking, his breath shallow, his mind racing. A key. But to what? Riley's hands trembled as he slid it gently toward Ozzy. This is what they were protecting, Riley whispered, and what they were willing to kill for. Ozzy hesitated before touching it. The metal felt ice cold, far colder than it should have been, like it carried 40 winters inside it. He looked up. Riley, what the hell does this open? Riley leaned back, exhaustion weighing down his shoulders. A storage locker, he said quietly, on the east side of London, hidden under a different identity, locked away for decades. Ozzy frowned. Why London? Because that's where everything started, Riley said, and where everything ended. Ozzy's head tilted, confusion etched on his face. Riley breathed deeply. You remember the early days, Ozzy? Before fame? Before the madness? Before the world knew your name? Ozzy's eyes softened with nostalgia. Yeah, I remember. Those were wild times. Riley shook his head. There's something you don't remember. Something you were never told. Ozzy's eyebrows knitted. What are you talking about? Riley's voice lowered to a whisper. Ozzy, someone in your early team betrayed you. The world seemed to stop. Ozzy's fingers tightened around the key. Who? He whispered. Riley looked at him with eyes full of pain. A man named Marcusdale. Ozzy froze. The name hit him like a shovel to the chest. Marcusdale. A sound engineer from their earliest days. A man who slipped into their lives like smoke, quiet, talented, charming in his own strange way. He'd always been in the background, never causing trouble, never drawing attention. Ozzy hadn't heard his name in decades. Riley continued. Marcus was working for them, for the same organization that took me. He got close to you on purpose. He studied you, watched you, reported everything. Ozzy leaned forward, eyes wide behind his glasses. Marcus? No, that can't be right. He was a good lad. He was always helping us, always fixing things for me. That was the plan, Riley interrupted gently. They wanted someone you trusted, someone who could manipulate things without you noticing. Ozzy shook his head. No, I refuse to believe that. Riley didn't argue. Instead, he took a deep breath and said, Then it's time you see it for yourself. Ozzy looked at the key again. Riley continued. In that locker, Marcus left recordings, logs, letters, documents, proof of what he did, proof of who he worked for. Ozzy's voice cracked. Why would he leave evidence? Why hide it? Riley's eyes softened with grief. Because Marcus died trying to expose them, Ozzy. He realized what they planned to do with you, how far they were willing to go, and he panicked. Ozzy felt a sting behind his eyes. Riley continued. He planned to leave the organization. He told them he was done. But they don't let people walk away. Silence filled the diner, like a thick fog. Ozzy leaned back, rubbing his forehead. Marcus, I never even knew he was in trouble. You weren't supposed to know, Riley said sadly. You were their investment. Ozzy looked up sharply. Investment? Riley nodded. They wanted to build you, control you, shape your music, your persona, your image. They wanted influence over you because they believed you could sway generations. Ozzy blinked rapidly. It wasn't like that. I made my own choices. Riley shook his head. Not all of them, Ozzy. Some shows you got, some venues you played, some opportunities you received were influenced from behind the scenes. You were guided without knowing. Ozzy felt his stomach twist. 40 years of memories suddenly felt like shifting sand. He clenched the key in his fist. So Marcus, he tried to expose him? Yes, Riley whispered. And he paid for it. Ozzy's voice lowered. How did he die? Riley hesitated. Then, an overdose. Ozzy's expression changed instantly. No, Marcus never used. Not like that. I know, Riley said quietly. He didn't overdose. They made it look like he did. Ozzy's heart pounded painfully. This was too much. Too shocking. Too heavy. He looked at Riley, desperation in his eyes. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why wait 40 bloody years? Riley exhaled. Because, until recently, I didn't even know Marcus left anything behind. I only found out after someone slipped an unmarked envelope into my mailbox 2 months ago. Ozzy's jaw tightened. Who? Riley shook his head. No name. No note. Just coordinates and this key. A chill ran down Ozzy's spine. Someone else was involved. Someone who wanted Ozzy to know. Someone who wanted the truth revealed now. After decades of silence, Ozzy whispered, So, what's inside the locker? Will tell me everything? Riley nodded. All of it. Your past. Their plans. Marcus's confession. My abduction. Everything they hid from you. Ozzy stared at the key long enough for his vision to blur. After a long silence, he whispered, When do we leave? Riley's expression changed. A shadow crossed his face. A sadness deeper than all the years he'd lost. Ozzy, his voice trembled. That's why I asked to see you. Ozzy waited. Riley swallowed hard. I don't have much time left. Ozzy's chest tightened. What do you mean you don't have much time left? Riley slowly opened his jacket and pulled out a small medical envelope. Inside was a folded paper. He slid it to Ozzy. Ozzy unfolded it with trembling hands. Terminal diagnosis. Stage 4. Late. Untreatable. Ozzy stopped breathing for a moment. His vision shook. His throat closed. No. Riley, not now, not after everything. Riley's voice cracked. I didn't run for 40 years because I was scared. A tear slid down his cheek. I ran because I didn't want you to suffer because of me. Ozzy pressed a shaking hand to his mouth. Try to keep himself together. Riley continued. I only came back because I want you to know the truth before I go. And because someone out there is planning something again. Ozzy froze. What do you mean again? Riley wiped his tears. Ozzy, they're not done with you. The diner felt colder now. Not because of the night outside, but because of the truth hanging in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. Ozzy stared at Riley, unable to speak. The man who had vanished for 40 years. The man who had lived in shadows. The man who had protected him from a danger he didn't even know existed now sat across from him, dying. Not from enemies, not from betrayal, but from time. After several long seconds, Ozzy finally whispered, Riley, you're not alone. Not anymore. I'm here. I'm right bloody here. Riley smiled weakly. I know, Ozzy. That's why I came back. To finish what Marcus started before I run out of days. Ozzy closed his eyes as pain shot through his chest. Tell me, Ozzy said, almost pleading. What did you mean they're not done with me? Riley's shoulders sagged. Ozzy, the organization, the same people who took me, infiltrated your world again. Ozzy felt a shiver. In my world? Where? Riley hesitated. They've placed someone close. Someone new. Someone you would never suspect. Someone helping organize your European charity concert next month. Ozzy stiffened. That tour? The one for children's hospitals. Riley nodded. They see it as the perfect place. Big stage. Big publicity. Big influence. They want control again, not over your music now, but over your legacy. Ozzy's eyes widened. My legacy? Riley nodded. Ozzy, they believe if they shape your final years, they shape rock history. Ozzy let out a low breath, shaking his head. This is insane. I'm an old man now, not some bloody weapon. You were never a weapon, Riley whispered. You were a symbol, a force, a legend. They still want that. Ozzy felt rage boiling in his chest. So what the hell do we do? Where do we start? Riley pushed the key toward him again. It starts with the locker, Marcus's truth, and ends with the person they place near you. Ozzy clenched his jaw. I'll go to London. Tonight if I have to. Riley smiled sadly. You can't go alone, Ozzy. Ozzy narrowed his eyes. I'm not asking you to come with me. Riley shook his head slowly. I can't go. I'm too weak. But someone else will go with you. The lights flickered again. Ozzy frowned. Who? Riley took a deep breath, then lifted his trembling hand and pointed to the diner entrance behind Ozzy. Ozzy turned around. The diner door opened softly and a young woman stepped in. Black jacket, backpack, short dark hair, sharp, determined eyes that reminded Ozzy of something he couldn't place. She walked toward them slowly, her footsteps calm, confident, steady. Who is she? Ozzy whispered. Riley exhaled shakily. Her name is Mira. Ozzy stared. And who the bloody hell is Mira? Riley smiled, a tired, emotional smile. She's my daughter. Ozzy's eyes widened. What? Riley, you have a daughter? Riley nodded. I kept her hidden from all of this. From them. From the music world. From danger. She grew up knowing I was running from something. But I never told her the whole truth until last month. Ozzy looked at her again. The determined posture, the cold intelligence, the way her eyes scanned the room. She stopped beside Riley. Placing a gentle hand on his shoulder, he covered it with his trembling fingers, whispering, Thank you for coming. Then Riley looked at Ozzy. Mira will protect you. She knows everything now. She's trained. She's ready. And she's angry enough to finish what they took from me. Ozzy met her eyes. She nodded once, a silent promise. Riley continued, She'll take you to the locker. She'll help you find the files. She'll help you uncover who is sabotaging your charity tour. Ozzy swallowed. Why would she help me? Mira finally spoke, her voice steady and sharp. Because they destroyed my father's life. And because Marcus saved him once. I'll save you. Ozzy nodded slowly. He turned back to Riley. Are you sure? Riley smiled weakly. Ozzy, I spent 40 years keeping you alive. Let me finish my job. Ozzy's voice broke. Riley, I don't know what to say. Then don't say anything, Riley said softly. Just promise me you won't let them win. Promise me you won't let Marcus die for nothing. Ozzy reached across the table and wrapped his hand around Riley's. I promise, mate. I bloody promise. Riley's eyes glistened, but relief washed over him. Mira helped him stand. He looked like a man whose time was measured in hours, not months, as Ozzy stood too. Riley pulled him into a shaky embrace. You are the greatest boss I ever had, Riley whispered, and the best friend I ever knew. Ozzy's throat tightened so hard he could barely breathe. You were my brother, Riley. Riley stepped back, eyes filled with years of love and tragedy. And now, Ozzy, now you have to finish the story we never got to tell. A single tear fell from Ozzy's eye. And what about you? Ozzy whispered. Riley gave a faint smile. I'm going home. To rest. To let go. I spent my life running. I think it's time I stop. Mira gently helped her father toward the door. But just before they left, Riley turned around one last time. Ozzy, the locker, the files, the truth, his voice wavered. It's bigger than you think. And then he said the final words Ozzy Osbourne would ever hear from him. Be careful. They're already watching. The door closed behind them. The diner fell silent. Ozzy stood alone now, a key in his hand, a storm in his heart, and a path ahead darker than anything he had ever faced on stage. But he wasn't scared. Not anymore. He tucked the key into his pocket, looked up, and whispered, For you, Riley, from Marcus? I'll burn their whole world down. The neon sign outside flickered for the final time, and Ozzy Osbourne walked into the night, ready to uncover a truth that had been buried for 40 years. If you love Ozzy Osbourne, then share this video and help us reach 1,000 subscribers on Voices of Darkness. Your love, your comments, and your support keep these emotional stories alive. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. And prove your love for Ozzy Osbourne today.